across the board.
Exactly, and you know, we're going to be straight into picks and bans, and one thing you were telling me right before we went on air for this one, Penguin, was that you wanted to see Night Syndra, but JDG does not want to relive that summer final where the Scatter of the Week clutched them out the game. We do still have the Olaf open. Kanavi also might get his Udyr pick that he has been wanting to play.
Yep, might be able to get it. There's still plenty options on the board. See what top esports want to ban away as the last one. You can see the Samira, the Xayah, the Kaiser's still available with the Syndra as well taken away. The Udyr banned out of respect, not going to be given that one. They just watched the last series and how incredibly oppressive it was in that game one. They do not want to give that over to someone who, like Kanavi, who can make the most out of the pick.
And now I wonder for the side of top esports what they go towards, because neither of these junglers have actually played Olaf yet this split. It's not really a champion I think of in association with either one, right? But Karsa, I love it. Bringing it out for the first time this split. We have seen Kanavi go a lot towards things like the Graves. Of course, he does play all the AP junglers. You hit on it last series, the whole Renekton plus AP jungler combination always being possible. So it's a question of what Kanavi wants to index into.
Yeah, we'll see now what they want to kind of work towards. I do believe the last time we saw the Olaf for Karsa was in Worlds, I believe. I think he played it twice. Or sorry, it wasn't even that. It was the mid-season cup, excuse me. And he went 1-1 on it. So again, like you said, not really something that we've seen him play all too often. And something that he hasn't shown, wouldn't, as you say, be in the wheelhouse of champions that I would say, oh yeah, that's a Karsa champion. But Kanavi leaning towards what we've kind of flagged as a red herring in the grave, something that's had plenty of priority in the LPL, but not a lot of success.
Ooh, but I'm really excited for this. This actually ends up getting locked in. This was something I expected today out from Jackeylove. We remember his performance on Senna at Worlds during group stage. He made Senna look unreal. He was carrying with this champion 1v9, goes really well with these sustained bruisers like Olaf. You could throw the Aatrox in there. We did see her get buffs on the newest patch. Her Q now does also apply the Kraken Slayer true damage as well. So, you know, we can talk more specifics in game, but I like what TES are putting together so far. But both drafts overall, I'd say, feeling more standard.
Yeah, feeling far more standard from what we're used to seeing. Definitely conforming to the meta, if you will. Now we'll see what either side wants to prioritize. The Zoe, pretty much the 80 carries, the mid laners, and the junglers all locked in. The top lane is where we're going to maybe see a lot of these bans come in. The Gragas, I like that ban away on the top side of top esports. That is a flex. You can put it into top, you can put it into support. So it's definitely a good one to get rid of off the bat. And JDG, they look like they're getting rid of, you know, the Jace, but the Renekton's still available. The Gnar, which has just been banned away. The Camille, there's still plenty of options here for either side if they want to go a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, maybe the Renekton would be the go-to here, but the thing I would like to see out of 369 is, like I said, something that brings a lot of sustain, whether it is the Renekton, the Aatrox, things along those lines that do synergize quite well with the Senna. Of course, Aatrox did get a slight nerf to how he works with a lot of the new items, so top esports, they don't want to show anything. They want to save their counter pick for top lane rather than support, which actually in hindsight does make more sense when the Senna pick does signify more towards playing towards your solo lanes.
See what they want to go for here. The Leona locked in, like you said, keeping the Senna relatively safe as well as having pretty decent engage options to jump in with the Olaf. The Galio locked in for JDG. That's going to be going over to Lvmao in the bot side. And what do you want to blind pick now into this top end? You still have the Aatrox available. They are locking it in. But again, like we said, there's a lot of options here for 369, whatever he wants to go with.
Yeah, and it just does end up being the Camille, so it sets up really well for the split push later on in the game. But interesting comps coming out from both sides, like we already said. The thing I like about JDG is taking the Galio into the Leona matchup. He is able to get push on the wave, so whether it's for a roam or to get like tempo on a reset and get on the map first, you can expect to see Lvmao influencing the map with Kanavi early on. I don't think you really have too many places. Maybe we do look for a lot of skirmishes towards that bot side river. And for top esports, the comp really signifies playing around the top side of the map, right? Especially after that level 6 mark where you do the Dawning Shadows coming out from Jackeylove and enabling 369 to win his lane, who's actually taking 2 combat summoners as well, TP and Ignite.
We've seen this a couple of times. It is risky, but it's definitely something that can work out in your favor if you can get it going. So roster's locked in. Lyric, I'm going to ask you, which one are you preferring right now?
I actually really like top esports comp, and I'm going to be honest, a bit of it might be the excitement over seeing this Senna pick. We did see it over in the LEC, the past weekend, so it's cool that it's making its way here, because even when Senna was meta all across the world 2020, we didn't really have that many 80 carries that played it. Jackeylove coming into Worlds was one of the only ones.
Yep, and if you're wondering why we're seeing her, she did receive some buffs. I think one of the most important ones was that her passive Absolution gives her 5 more gold per mist rate. So that is a hell of a lot of extra gold going income into a champion that can utilize it to its fullest.
Yeah, definitely agree. And again, she just got a ton of changes overall.
Well, apologies for that, Jordan. Didn't realize we're going to have a nice, cool intro for this one there. We'll now know for the next one. We are jumping on to the Rift, but just back to your point on Senna, we talked about the extra goal that's going on to her and why she's just kind of becoming more prevalent in the pro play.
Yeah, she also got her attack speed ratio got buffed. Again, her Q can now apply Kraken Slayer. The true damage accounts for a stack of that. You're on minions you don't kill, you have a higher chance of dropping rates. There's a really new cool build that people are going as well. We saw Reckless pull it out. It's Kraken Slayer into Rageblade into Rapid Fire Cannon. Your Ginsu on hit applies now to all the targets that your Q hits. We already talked about the synergy it has with Kraken Slayer, and it's just a really cool, interesting build that gives Senna way more DPS than she had before.
And the attack speed buff is something that's very curious to me because it doesn't feel like it should be a lot from 0.2 to 0.3. But later in the game, when you have the items that we just mentioned there, like the Kraken Slayer, etc., it becomes absurdly oppressive to try and deal with her because she's just getting these, extra auto attacks off with the Glacial Augment that we previously mentioned, and that becomes just so hard to kind of deal with in the later stages of the game because it feels like you just can't get anywhere close to her.
I mean, you can think about it, right? It's the 0.2 to 0.3. You just gained 50% of the, the ratio that you had, so definitely a big one. And like we said, even though a lot of these changes are really cool, we still expect this to be a more top-centric game. Again, you look at the summoner spells on the side of 369. We know that Jackeylove has the global ultimate. And even Aatrox versus Camille being a bit of a volatile matchup, whoever does get ahead early on will typically stay ahead, for a large majority of the game.
It's kind of been the meta right now, as you said. It's kind of been something that we've expected to see overall. Lvmao trying to find something there with the Justice Punch and the Shield of Duran, but not able to get any purchase. And now we can see if there's a little bit of a re-engage on the side of top esports with Zhuo and Jackeylove do pick up themselves their own level 2. Something we didn't really get to talk about, and why something I wanted to talk about a little bit more in depth, was the Graves pick overall, and why we're kind of seeing it fall off of priority, and why it didn't really get going despite having such a high prevalence in a lot of the leagues around the world. Why do you feel like it just wasn't able to kind of have the impact that a lot of people assumed it would have?
For me, it wasn't anything really directly with Graves. It was a byproduct of the champions around it, to where we saw, obviously, the Gore Drinker, Stair exchanges propping up champions like Olaf and Pantheon so much more. And then we also think of the AP junglers and how, again, without having to buy jungle items... I'm going to pause, though. We have a dive, Penguin.
We do. TP is going to be coming out here, and that's actually just all top esports want. They just wanted the summoner out. They get it. They back themselves away. It was very much necessary for Yagao to use that to try and make sure that Zoom did not lose this absolutely massive wave that was crashing into his tower.
And I want to highlight this is really important for the side of top esports, because in 2020, when they succeeded, they were funneling so many resources into 369. Karsa would never go bottom. He would consistently gank top. We saw Knight a lot of times uses TP to look for dives in the top side, and their bot lane would just be on an island. Jackeylove and at the time Yuyanja were fine in most lane matchups, even just 2v2. They solo killed Suning's bot lane in the semifinals in LPL 2020 summer. So I like that they're going back to this style that's familiar to them. Again, I think Kelsey Moser said it really well once when I heard her say, you know, Karsa and Top Esports are all about doubling down. And I, despite what might be right or wrong, I think it's really cool and really fun that Top Esports are just going to continue to double down on what made them a strong team before. I like that teams in the LPL have this personal flavor, and it's not about just black and white, what is right or wrong.
But that's kind of, I suppose, what made them a top 4 team at Worlds last year. It was their style, and they knew how to play it. It's what made RNG with Uzi so crazy hard to deal with, because yes, you know they're going to funnel like an absolute, you know, unholy amount of money into Uzi. It doesn't matter because they're so good at executing on it that it doesn't matter that you know about it, because they can just keep doing it and it doesn't change anything. That's the kind of LPL style from what we've seen from the top teams, and that's kind of what worked for them, and especially for the likes of IG, FBX, you know, in 2018 and 2019.
Penguin,
they had their styles.
You have a gank coming though, Penguin. Kanavi's looking for it.
Do have a gank. Yeah, they have a gank and a TP. Zoom going to be dropping in here now with double TP invested here from Top Esports. They're fully investing the double down. Like you said, it's a 4v4 in this bot side. It's going to be a 5v4 as now they've got Yagao jumping in. First blood will be given over to 369. He's not quite level 6 just yet. Still waiting on ultimates, and it's so difficult to get these health bars down when you have someone like a Senna. And that is going to be a first blood. Nothing else really untoward going to happen here. To say that, G69's feeling a little bit more frisky, feeling like maybe he might be able to go for something, but everyone backs away. Great engage there from Top Esports. They get themselves the first blood, and great double down there to make sure they didn't lose anybody.
Yeah, we saw Lvmao going to start that one off a bit early. TP's come out. He gets locked down by the hookshot, wallshot, just gets immediately bursted out. And you said it, right? That was a 5v4 on the bottom side of the map that Top Esports, the ones who were the 4, were able to win out on. Look at that top lane right now. Zoom is missing out on CS. He's losing gold and EXP that, sure, I guess 369 technically did lose a bit out on as well. He did share it in the bottom lane, but Karsa, you know, also getting his own lead. It's really nice to see level advantage in both top and jungle for the side of Top Esports, even for Jackeylove over Loken.
Yeah, honestly, it just felt like it was a coordinated effort from Top Esports. They weren't panicking. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to something the side of JDG did, and it just seemed to work out for them. With JDG, I don't think you can be too disappointed with how that one went, but you might be a little disappointed with how this one goes. As Zoom gets jumped on straight away. There's the Hextech ultimate, and the World Ender has been popped, as has the Ragnarok. It's going to be 2 ultimates, and no! Double flash, but not able to get it for Karsa. Not able to finish off that kill.
So I also want to give a bit of context to the changes to Aatrox. What they did to him was they took some of the healing out of his ultimate and put it into his E passive. And people might like look at it and be like, what does that mean? Isn't this pretty much just the same? Aatrox's ultimate amplifies all healing. So things like Gore Drinker, things like Ravenous Hunter, all of those. To where his E is just on his auto attacks and his ability damage. So they're trying to de-synergize healing with the likes of like Gore Drinker and Sterex that felt overwhelming. The same change also happened to Olaf with his W. The percent that of all healing got lowered, and you just got given a bit more lifesteal overall. So again, trying to take away what I think was a pretty toxic interaction of like, hey, amplified healing with Gore Drinker, Sterex, and all of those items. I think it was a really nice change on Riot's part.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was a little bit too overtuned. It's still getting nerfed, I believe. Gore Drinker is still getting nerfed in the next patch as well. So still feeling the pinch of that right now, and might see a new meta. In fact, I doubt we'll see a new meta until those changes come in. So I'll be curious to see how that one goes. But we're not in that meta. We're in this meta, and we can see, generally speaking, you won't be going towards too many crazy fights right now until they see an opportunity for either side. And for Kanavi, farming up is totally okay here if he can get a global objective from it, because right now he's just losing the Rift Herald to Karsa.
I also think a big problem right now is that, you know, 369 is winning in top lane. Knight, of course, is going to have early lane pressure over the Orianna, just able to spam out that paddle star and get the wave pushed in. But after that bot skirmish, Jackeylove and Zhuo have been the ones to have pressure, so this is the only play Kanavi can look for. He can look for the spot lane gank, but sadly he gets spotted out on a ward.
Yep, he will now know he's been spotted. We won't know about the first one in the tri-bush, but that does potentially give him some breathing room towards this dragon, as they've got the push now in the bot side. Loken and Lvmao have got the ultimates available, so play potential here for both sides. 369 being jumped on. Ooh, the hook shot does not get him out, and he takes a very unfavorable trade, and Zoom's now feeling it. He knows there's no flash onto 369. He has nowhere to go. He has no way out. There's the Hextech ultimatum, and Zoom capitalizing on a big mistake. But we gotta go straight down towards the bot side as we're gonna see everybody jumping on top of the Galio. It's a 2-for-1 trade as Yagao flashing himself away. Just dodge out a little bit, trying to find Jackeylove, not able to get the clockwork auto attack. 2-for-2 overall, but Knight is not done. Knight wants a double, and Knight will find it. 3-for-2 overall in favor of Top Esports.
Penguin, I love it. We're seeing the key members on both sides step up. Zoom has been the best performing member for the side of JDG thus far this split. Finds the chain, like you says. 369 is no flash. Ends up getting solo killed on the opposite end. We don't see how that fight started, but Knight comes in and he is the one to clean it up and pick up these kills. We're going to actually get a replay of this spot side skirmish. Lvmao is the one going in, does find a really nice taunt, followed by the shockwave from Yagao, which is able to pick up Zhuo early on. But very clutch bubble from Knight is actually the thing that leads to Lvmao going down. Karsa does buy a bit of time with all the healing coming out from Jackeylove. And again, it's just a question of when Knight can get here, picks up the flash. Senna, of course, with the self-heal as well. And yeah, it was just a good showcase for the mechanical play and the punishment coming out on Knight Zoe. Because we need to remember, Knight has a lot of best champions, and this is one of them.
Yeah, Knight has a champion ocean of things that we are very, very okay with him playing onto. Just having a quick look at the items, actually see Olaf Karsa picking up that Gore Drinker now. He is a very powerful Viking, as 369 needs to be very careful, does not want to be caught out again. And again, we're seeing Knight with this Zoe just able to make things happen. And not even just Knight, we're just able to see, you know, generally LPL mid laners make this Zoe into such a potent pick coming into these skirmishes, because you get 1 or 2 paddle stars, there's not a lot of resistances on the enemy team, and they will just get melted.
Yeah, and again, it's just going to give them even more mid-prio. Looking at the state of the map, I'm actually surprised. I expect Karsa to go towards that bottom lane and maybe potentially just throw Rift Herald down there, but I would have liked to see him path towards top, give some support to 369, who again indexed into these double aggressive summoners and start getting gold onto him. But you know, they're just gonna go straight for this dragon. Zoom's TP is about to come up.
They will have TPs on both mid and tops for both sides, but Karsa and Zhuo still very much in the priority, and mid lane as well, so very difficult to see how JDG are going to find themselves getting to the back of this. It looks like they're just going to try and give this one up. Now there's going to be first Drake over to Top Esports. They have themselves about a 1,400 goal lead, or maybe just a little bit under it. They've got themselves a dragon lead, and this is where they can start to, you know, press the issue in this bot side, as Karsa has found Loken and just going to keep him away from the turret. They've got Rift Herald. That's 2 objectives that they were able to get that Kanavi was not able to answer.
And this is another thing that if they drop this is a throwback to 2020. They haven't done it just yet. They are taking more of these plates, maybe wanting to, like we saw last time, build up the resistances from the turret and then drop it. Obviously, the true damage charge. They are going to do that. And to where I think it would make more sense to drop this either mid to open the map or top to get gold on 369. We saw in 2020 a lot of times they would still just give Herald gold over to Jackeylove because they hadn't given him any attention in the early game laning phase. So still, they're going to open up a side lane. If they do want to rotate their bottom lane towards top side, they can put 369 down bot. But as we've been seeing in these top lane trades, he's actually not winning up against Zoom anymore.
No, Zoom has found the advantage, and it's the risk you take when you take the Ignite over something like the Flash, is that when you do have those small little blunders, those little bit of a missteps, it can be horribly punishing, because that hook shot this early in the game does not have a short cooldown. You need to be so careful of how you're utilizing it and when you're going for those trades. So great to see that Zoom is able to capitalize on that, but for Top Esports, this feels like vintage them. Like you said, Jackeylove, Knight, they feel like they're the ones that are kind of being the carries for their team, as they should and as they have been, you know, for you know, just being just great in their role.
And it also just goes to the kind of jungler Karsa is, you know, to go along with those two, for the fact that Top Esports have always been a team that have focused much more on propping up their laners and kind of supporting their strong laning phases, rather than trying to, again, play through jungle camps or tempo. It's all about just kind of hard forcing the advantages that Jackeylove and Knight, in 369 as well, right, can find on their own.
Now, where do you perceive the next fight going down? You can see now there's a bit of a hover happening towards this top side of the jungle. I doubt either side really wants to fight over nothing, but this is the LPL. I have been surprised by very little in terms of what they will deem worthy of a fight. But where do you want to see either side look to try and maybe get an advantage in this game? Where do you want to see, both sides looking to try and get something going?
The thing is, we saw top esports, as I pause, Kanavi.
Oh, Kanavi. They get the teleport as well out of Zoom. That's a big cooldown here for the side of JDG. Wasted just to kind of keep Kanavi alive. He had to burn his flash as well, so 2 big summoners down is not ideal.
And now top esports just get to get the Herald because we saw them setting up towards the top side because they did know that this was coming up. It does look like Kanavi was able to heal up already, just clearing out his Raptor camp. And they're just going to straight up go for this one. 369 in response is going to try to put some pressure on the bottom half of the map. He does still have his TP up if top esports want to take a fight.
Yeah, there is no tier 1 turret. That was already taken. You can see now both sides posturing over this one. Trouble Bubble does not land. Paddlestar coming in, though. Will it be enough? I'm not quite sure exactly who got that, but the fight has been started. You can see Zoom just fighting off 4 or 5 people right now. Kanavi does die. Zoom has to fall down as well. Lvmao picks up the Rift Herald and tries to flash himself away. That Trouble Bubble almost lands down on top of him, but it does not matter. 369 will have his hook shot very soon, and it should be an easy pickup for him. They did pick up the Rift Herald, so it was JDG who got it, but what did they lose for getting it?
Yeah, true, and really nice pincer movement as we see Lvmao just trying to be a bit of annoyance, so let's go down the end. We saw a really nice, we'll even start from before the Rift Herald, really nice play from Knight, finds the trade onto Kanavi, which forces out the flash, and more importantly, forced out Zoom's TP. Because now Zoom doesn't have TP, JDG are pretty much forced to start the Herald there unless they're just willing to concede it overall. So they start right away. 369 still has his TP and finds an amazing pincer movement. And now, again, we're starting to see this gold lead for top esports starting to balloon. About 4K right now. And Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds, Penguin.
Yeah, this is getting a little out of hand. I see exactly how they kind of go for this one here. And as you said, the poke here from Knight as Zoom just kind of tries to be a raid boss was just so key.
It was really nice from him. I mean, Kanavi chunked out so early. And Zoom is trying to buy space on the opposite side. But like I said, the pincer comes in from 369's TP. He's able to finish off Kanavi. At the same time, Karsa flashed out. The other members are able to finish off Zoom. And it led to that massive teamfight win that TES had.
Very important to notice. Loken does not have his mythic right now. He's only sitting on the High Noon Quiver. So there they go in. There's the Xenoblade jumping straight on top. Zhuo needs to be very careful, though, as he was a little alone. They don't quite get the ultimates down, but they get the Solar Flare, and that means there's no extra healing for Zoom. He cannot sustain. 2-man Shockwave onto the backside, but they're not able to get anything else out of it. It's becoming very difficult for the side of top esports to do anything, or sorry, for JDG to do anything against this top esports sides. I feel like they're going to have to concede this Dragon. Oh, we seem to have a little bit of a disconnection there. We seem to be back down. I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on with Lyric, but I am back into the game, and we seem to be back going there. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. Slight technical issues there. But overall, what ends up happening was no one else ended up dying. We did see the Dragon going down, and the mid lane turret was not traded in for JDG, so they didn't even get anything out of it. Lyric, are you with me, my friend?
Penguin, I am always here, right by your side. I mean, across the world, but, you know, right by your side on this broadcast. And, yeah, I mean, again, we had a bit of a disconnect. The game is still trucking forward for the side of top esports. We even see right now Knight taking another turret, so they're starting to break down these structures. Now it's going to be about getting a lot of deep vision in JDG's jungle, but Zhuo is going too deep.
He's a little bit too deep. They do knock back the blast cone as well. He's going to try and turn it around. The exhaust to go down onto Kanavi, but a nice opportunistic pick here for JDG as they try to shore up this 5,000 gold deficit they find them in.
I feel like that was more of a pick that top esports gave them because, okay, we see Jackeylove has control of the mid lane, Knight forces down this turret, Karsa's in his own jungle, like clearing out his camps, and Zhuo solo invading. So I'm not quite sure what the miscommunication was. You could have very easily had Karsa and Zhuo together walk into the jungle and Knight hover over after taking that turret. But somehow we just have Zhuo walking in alone, maybe thinking that, you know, hey, no one's on this side of the map. They're going to need to contest us on mid wave and catch the wave that 369 is pushing bot. But that wasn't what happened.
No, it was not. And again, looking towards what we said, you know, talked about coming into this game, we talked a little bit about the Senna build. She's now on 2 items versus the no items, effectively, of, you know, JDG. They're trying to see if they can find something. There's the killer instinct, but you just don't have the damage. You don't have the range. They do force Jackeylove to flash and heal away. He keeps himself alive. An almost perfect pick there for JDG, but I feel like the lack of a Gale Force or even a Kraken Slayer there for the Kaiser was detrimental to honestly not being able to finish off that pick.
Definitely agree, and we're still going to see JDG going for it. Zoom finds the chain, but nothing, Penguin. Nothing once again.
This is kind of what we alluded to a little bit on Top Esports' side when we came into this year. This is not the Top Esports that we have been seeing since 2020. This is not the Top Esports that we, you know, kind of like see as utterly dominating and just able to win off of all lanes. These small little mistakes have crept into their gameplay and have honestly been hampering them at the start of this split. I'll have to pause myself a little bit as we might see a bit of an aggressive move here. They do land the chain. Solar Flare goes down as well. They're going to invest 2 extra ultimates. Lvmao will fall. That's a good little pick there. And that's, again, for JDG, that's another little thing that we kind of noticed. As TP came in from Zoom, Shockwave has landed. Jackeylove has no summoners this time, and he will fall. So it's a 1-for-1 trade, but they're trying to jump onto Zoom, who has got the Gore Drinker now, keeping himself alive and sustained. But there's no extra damage. There's no extra follow-up. So it ends up being a 2-for-1 in favor of Top Esports. It's scrappy, and that's not what I would regard these two sides as, even when they fight against each other.
To be fair, right, we did see them go very back and forth in both finals. I would say the regular splits, it was a bit different. For context, Top Esports actually 2-0'd JDG in both times they've been in the regular split in 2020. It was a fairly one-sided affair, but this definitely looking closer to the playoff matches they had of being very brawly. These teams know each other very well. And I also like that we saw the hints of, you know, the Jackeylove that we came to know in 2020 of sometimes he walks forward to get off that one more auto to get a bit more damage, and suddenly he just gets popped because he has no summoners.
Yeah, it's definitely a build that can, or a champion that can be capitalized on that if you do not have your flash, if you do not have the support there to keep you alive. But have a quick look down towards the items as we start to hit the 22-minute marker just beyond it. You can see the Divine Sunderer there for the Camille, Gore Drinker Sterex for Karsa, so he is a very, very angry and very, very scary Viking. Big items as well, 2 items for the Zoe, so as we see both teams posturing around this dragon. No TP available for Zoom, so he's going to have to join his team pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I really like what Top Esports are actually doing right now, though. They're controlling this, the terrain with Knight's Poke over the wall and the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. So despite the fact that JDG got pushed on mid-wave, they can't just walk straight into River. They need to wrap around like they just did. And still, Top Esports are the ones with the favorable position on the Dragon because of it.
This will put them onto soul points. So for JDG, you need this dragon to delay the game. 5v5. Here we go. Oh, great trouble bubble straight away, forcing the cleanse. They are not going to be able to get the steal. It's not going to be secured straight away, and Zoom goes down. The Galio's jumped in, but he's all on his lonesome. As I say that, though, they decide to jump in with the Kaiser. What are you doing, Loken? That was a suicide mission. And now Top Esports can take the rest of the kills. They are not going to be able to get anything from this on JDG's side, and that could honestly dispel Baron. They could either go for that, reset, they can do whatever they want.
I just love the way that Top Esports chained all that together, but it does look like they're too far away from the top side of the map to look for that Baron, especially with the fact that their AD carry is down. Sure, they still do have the Olaf and the Camille, but it's not the same amount of DPS without having an AD carry right alongside with you. So they are going to take the win of just a gold advantage from the kills, as long as, like you pointed out, they're on soul point. You wait 4 minutes, you do it again, you're in an amazing position to close out this first game.
Let's have a look at how this fight kind of goes. And like I said, I said that at the start, it starts with a great bubble that just completely zones out the backline of JDG.
Yeah, and they also comboed it at the same time as an amazing Leona ultimate from Zhuo to make sure no one can walk into the pit. Still, we do see some members try to get in to get the steal. We see Loken look for the assassination on Jackeylove, but they go too far forward. Top Esports are kind of like balled up, and it's pretty much just a death chamber for the side of JDG that TS welcome with open arms.
Yeah, and despite Zoom having a great start to the game, he's now 1-4, not really having the impact as the raid boss we expected, and I feel like right now it's just so difficult for them to get any damage down. They just haven't got the items behind them to make anything stick, because look at the two items. You've literally got 2 items on every single person on the side of TES versus 1, maybe 2 on the side of JDG. They're just too far behind.
I agree at this point for sure. 6k gold, and even the team fight for formation for Zoom is very hard. And I feel like we keep seeing a disconnect between him and Lvmao, to where the team fight goes like this, right? 369 flanks JDG, and Zoom goes in onto Top Esports. Lvmao will continuously ult to go try and stop 369 rather than going in with Zoom. So Zoom is then just 1v4, which against a very durable frontline in Olaf and Leona, then with the heals coming out from Senna, and then CC also from Zoe and Senna to keep him at arm's length. So it feels like he has a much tougher time without someone like Lvmao and the other members able to follow up. And also just great TPs from 369, making it hell for Zoom in these team fights by himself.
6,000 gold lead, and still waiting for... I gotta say, Kanavi going the a little bit of an interesting build here. We can actually see him going to QSS, completely ignoring the brown bags that are known as boots. Does not want anything to do with them. Feel like he doesn't really need them. Has plenty of dashes and ways of escaping, but with the top side now pretty much owned by Top Esports, they are going to be able to start moving in on this Baron, and that's where this game starts to get a little harder for the side of JDG. They don't really have any good ways of face-checking into this team, and with the sustain you get with the Senna, it's just so difficult to really walk in anywhere.
I mean, without Aatrox with them, they actually... Oh, God!
Oh, no!
That was amazing!
They delete the Galio and completely sidestep the Orianna Shockwave. That is devastating for JDG. And now for Top Esports, though, you can just push in this mid wave. You've got full priority here and make your way towards this Baron. This is as clean as you can get.
And the thing is, right, even if they don't get it, they can at least force TPs out from both Yagao and Zoom, and then they just be able to back off and make the play again. But 369 is actually coming in.
Yeah, 369 is here. The flash from Loken will keep him alive and well, but only for a little limited time only, as the Hextech ultimatum is just too much for him to try and survive. And without Zoom, without Yagao, there's nowhere else they can really go. And this is just kind of make another pick, go back to Baron, get another pick, go back to Baron. You can keep baiting them all in, and these deaths are staggered.
It's just great. I think at this point for TS, they should just be able to get this one. Zoom can TP and they can try to contest. We almost have the Orianna ultimate up again, but I feel like Top Esports just do this one a bit too fast.
Oh my god, Lvmao, he is just not able to do anything against Knight. One paddle star completely stops any aggressive move there from JDG to try and claim back any kind of, vision around that Baron pit. And then with the Baron taken, dragging up in just over 20 seconds, this feels like it's going to be Top Esports just running away with the 2 big objectives.
Yeah, they're just going to back up on the map, right? We already have Drake up. They have all their key abilities up, even across the board, all summoners, right? We have all flashes on the side of Top Esports. Their carries are under no threat, but look at Loken. Loken does have cleanse, but he has no flash.
Kanavi in the back of the pit did have to get himself off to the side of it. He did get the quick draw there, and half health onto Lvmao means that even if he goes in on this with his ultimate, he's so squishy that he'll just be instantly popped. You can see Kanavi jumping in on the backside. They're trying to see if they can get anything going for them there, but their jungler is dead, and now the fight can really begin. 369 with the Hextech ultimatum on top of Loken. He's now dead. Dragon down. That's Ocean Soul. The Senna picking up 2 kills. This is going to be an ace for the side of Top Esports. They get everything, and they're going to be able to take this game.
And Top Esports are keeping the tradition from last year in the regular split alive, just completely dominating JDG. Beautiful performances across the board from members of Top Esports.
This is the momentum we were talking about. Yes, Top Esports are 2-2, but they are looking far better in their last 2 games than their first 2 games. This is only game 1, but a fantastically dominant way to win it. And this is exactly what we thought this was going to be for them. As we can see now, the side of JDG aren't quite just done yet. They will pick themselves up a couple of kills, 3 there on the back end, but it will not